George?
You playing out?
Hi, that's my bike.
We were just making sure that all of these bikes were road safe. Oh, yours isn't, by the way.
Hi, Charlotte. Congrats on Scrapper. um, so, so taking it all the way back to the beginning, you got your start at 15 shooting music videos for rappers on the council estate you grew up in. Firstly, whose camera were you using? And do you kind of remember the moment where you kind of realized you loved filming?
At first it was one of my mates, so one of the rappers kind of borrowed me the camera, I guess, or said I could use it if I did their videos, you know, so it was a borrowed camera at first, and then I got into, because at first it was the ones where the screens flip out, like a DV camera, is it? I'm not very technical, but, and then like a 550D, and kind of worked up whenever I got paid enough for the music videos to get another one. And yeah, I don't know really, because the draw at first was to be in the music scene. I loved grime music and I loved being around that culture, and didn't know how else to be around it other than like with my camera, because I'm very socially awkward. But I loved the editing, and I loved like the puzzle that you solve at kind of every stage of it, I guess. So I think it was probably that drew me to it.
As a side, like, how do you feel about, I guess, like, really quickly, about kind of grime and UK drill kind of blowing up internationally? Like, it's been crazy the last like 5 years or so.
Ah, yeah, nice, awesome. I mean, I'd even just music across everywhere at the minute is insane. Like, I've got so much like US kind of grime or drill on my kind of Spotify or whatever now. It's so cool hearing the genre, like grime in particular, kind of travel and hearing it done with different people. It's cool for sure.
We're gonna fast forward a lot from when you were 15 to kind of now, and in between you accomplished an insane amount of music videos and short films. What made you decide to want to try and do a feature film?
I don't know if I did ever decide. I think it was more that I was doing way too many short films, and everyone was like, you got to stop the short films. So I think it was very much implied that the short films were getting worse, not better, and I had to finally make a feature. I probably would have reluctantly, you know, just stayed in short. I love shorts. I kind of love stories that feel like they're meant for like short format, instead of shorts that feel like they're part of a bigger thing. Like, I really love short films and music videos, and think it's such a skill to tell a story in such a short window of time. So I'm still very much like drawn to them, and I'm sure we'll make them. But the feature, yeah, I don't know, it's more my producer Theo who very much encouraged it. So it's no like inspirational moment from me or anything. Yeah, it's Theo.
And even though Scrapper isn't an autobiographical film, it does contain like certain elements from your life. Did that come organically in the writing process, or was that something that you kind of set out to do when you first wrote the script?
I think it just maybe comes with, I speak to a lot of my friends who have made features as well, and I think it's just like a new writer thing. It's kind of like you find comfort and safety in the things you know, and they're the things you feel you can write best. So you naturally, you know, like I often get asked like if Lola is based on me or Georgie is based on me, because when you see us together at events, we speak so similarly and have such a similar humour. But I think that is just because I don't know how to write in any voice but my own just yet, because I'm not a good writer is the thing, you know, and I'm still learning the language of writing, I guess. But yeah, the working class element of kind of wanting to do that world in a joyful way was kind of always the anchor for the film, and something me and the producer spoke about, whatever kind of form the story took. And it took a lot through the process, but that was always at the center of it for sure.
Yeah, it feels like, and we'll touch on this maybe a little bit later, a couple questions from now, but there is a kind of something in Australia where some of the more working class areas of Australian film, everyone's addicted to drugs. There's only little rays of sunshine. So watching Scrapper definitely resonated with me, because I guess if coming from a working class background, I'm like, it's not necessarily like that. But that's what I loved about Scrapper. It got that vibrancy down. And I love the complex father-daughter relationship at the beginning, in the center of the film, the core. Why were Harris and Lola the perfect fits for Jason and Georgie?
So we started with like finding the Georgie. We always kind of wanted all our other casts to kind of come after that, so that we didn't fall into the trap of casting like a named actor for Jason and then having to find a kid that worked with him instead of the other way around. And Lola was just like magical from the moment I met her. She's got such an incredible mix of like maturity yet like total childishness, you know, and that's something I find with working class kids in particular, and a quality I was looking for, because it's like that working class thing of kids in those worlds of like shouldered a lot or carried a lot, but also are still like really willing to be incredibly childish, you know. If you try and convince them the tooth fairy exists, they might believe you, you know, but they're still kind of very independent. And then Harris I'd worked with before on a short, and obviously he's an incredible actor. I love all his performances that I've seen since, but he's also just incredibly selfless, you know, like he's one of the only actors I've met that steps into a scene and it feels like he's thinking about everyone's performance and how his performance can help their performances, you know, because acting is quite like a self-reflective thing, so actors can't help but think about themselves and their own performance, but he actually just like thinks about everyone, which is like which is strange and super selfless. And with the kids in particular, he would turn up when he didn't have scenes. He would, you know, hang out with them and like teach them different things, and just I don't think anyone would have gave them that kind of support for sure.
And I guess like, so I was doing my research and stuff, and everyone seemed to love the energy on set. But I was actually over the weekend watching No Ball Games, and I thought it was an amazing documentary. So touching, so sweet, so real. But is there a secret to making kids comfortable and just kind of be themselves in the presence of a camera? I don't know. I think Lola and Alan, you know, there's things we did, but they are pretty incredible. So no matter who they would have been, what director they would have been put with, I think they would have, you know, shined regardless, and I can't take any credit for it. But we for sure changed the process. So like on the floor, we would only ever have me, Molly, and the sound person, because we wanted it to feel like they were just existing, and we would hide all the crew so that they didn't have to walk past the chaos of set, you know. It's because it's weird walking past 50 people outside knowing they're all watching monitors. It makes you self-conscious, I imagine. So we kind of made it feel much more lo-fi than it was. We didn't do checks, which enraged everyone in every department at first, until they started to realize it was for the kids and we weren't trying to kind of belittle their work, you know. But I just think someone coming in between takes and like faffing with the collar on Lola's costume is instantly going to take her out, you know, because then they're talking to her about something, or so I kind of don't like let any of that happen. And the HODs were super kind and kind of got on board with that and realized why we were doing it and why that worked best for the kids. So I guess it's just keeping it small and letting them just exist, I guess, for sure. For sure. And the results are amazing. The chemistry between Alan and Lola are just, it's like magic, let alone Harris. But just the two of those scenes, that could be the whole film. Just the two of them, it's going around. And I guess it's to kind of wrap things up, this last couple of questions. In the past, you've talked about how rewatching the film can be mad painful, and how you're inclined not to be too positive. But what has it been like experiencing the film's kind of international success and Sundance and everything else? I
don't know. It's really hard to gauge, to be honest. Like, because you know, I'm living it with this film. Like, I don't know what success is and what isn't, because I see the film everywhere, but that is because on my Instagram I have all the people who worked on it who post about it. So I'm like, is it successful, or is it just that all my mum's friends are posting about it and I'm seeing those posts? Probably. Do you know what I mean? Like, so I have no idea what. I'm sure when I'm out of it and have some space, I'll be able to look back on it a bit better, but at the minute I find it all quite strange. I love making them, and I love it getting an audience and people taking ownership of the film in their own way, but I'm pretty uncomfortable with everything in general. I'm very awkward, so I don't know. I try to ignore that it's even happening, really. Yeah.
Well, I think this has been a great interview, so I'm so happy that you've done it. Not awkward at all.
Thank you.
It's been great. And as a last question, I guess like looking through your whole kind of filmography and all you've worked, it almost feels like you've done the amount of work of like 4 lifetimes of filmmakers to me. You know, this is your feature debut. You've done so much work, and Georgie, they're all great short films, music videos, etc. But what would you kind of, if you had to give advice to aspiring filmmakers out there to kind of just pick up the camera and tell stories, what do you think would be the key advice to get them to pick up that camera and start or write that script or something like that?
I think just to like not go into it thinking you have to make something perfect, or I think in this like kind of internet world we're surrounded by peers who are like winning BAFTAs for their first short films, or you know, Damien Chazelle getting loads of Oscars, and we're just surrounded by like such success at like such young ages and people making flawless films, and I think that can put you off because you can constantly feel like, well, it has to be perfect, the script has to be perfect, the short, and I think you just have to create, you have to have a want to create, you know, and for you, that's kind of why I say I don't get too into what happens after the film, because I worry it will totally affect my writing process, because I'll get too into this stage of it, and then in my next one I'll be like, but what would those people think, what would the audience think, how can I appeal to, and I think you just have to like create whatever you want, and if that is flawed, that's fine, you know. All your favorite filmmakers have terrible films and terrible short films that they haven't posted online, or they've buried, or shocking scripts that you've not been able to read, but trust me, other people have. So not everyone's got as flawless as a career as it looks like online, so you can just make something and make mistakes. That's kind of the whole point of creating, I guess, and art is just to make what you want to make and don't care if it's total shite. If you've had fun making it, who cares, you know?
Well, Scrapper is definitely not total shite. It is a 10 out of film. I loved it. One of the best of the year, and congratulations. And I can't wait for the whole country, the whole of Australia, to check it out.
I need someone.
That was sick.
That was shocking.
Shocking?
Yeah.